everybody, I'm Laura Harris-Smith. Welcome to today's Daily Pit Code. We are on the book of Ecclesiastes, and I know you like this book as much as I do. Strange as it may be on occasion, almost seems pessimistic on occasion, but once we get into the author, maybe you'll understand why. Okay, the author is thought to be Solomon. We don't really know. It could have been written actually hundreds of years after his death, but you know, it's pretty clear, in my opinion, to see this guy. He had a thing for the ladies. He had like 969 wives or something like that, and concubines. And so he has this view of life like, oh, there's nothing better under the sun than to just enjoy the wife of your youth and everything else can blow to the wind. I don't think that the motto in life you should adhere to is eat, drink, and be merry, and he actually says that in here. So keep in mind that a lot of this book is filtered through the eyes of a man who, had some of his priorities out of whack. Now, with that said, there are some awesome things to be learned. In other words, you can learn what to do and learn what not to do in the book of Ecclesiastes. Date written? Well, it was written, we're thinking, in Solomon's reign, which spanned 40 years. So it's 970 to 930 BC, and most likely it was written towards the end, sometime around 935 BC. Purpose of writing. Proverbs is a book of perspective. Oftentimes, Solomon, if he's the one that wrote it, he uses the term the preacher or the teacher, almost as a ghostwriter name. You almost hear this depressive state, like he's looking for the answers. And by the end of the book, kudos to Solomon, he comes to the conclusion that everything in this natural life is temporary and you should focus on the eternal. Key verses, that's the seasonal verses, to everything there is a purpose under the sun. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. And I think I also like the verse in chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. It talks about two are better than one, and two have a better return for their labor, and they lie down, they will stay warm, and all of that. And it culminates with a triple braided cord is not easily broken. There are a couple of main phrases that you see repeated over and over again in the book of Ecclesiastes. One is vanity and meaningless, and the other one is under the sun. In other words, everything is meaningless under the sun. If you do not take the book of Ecclesiastes in context and realize that this pessimistic writer, he was talking about life without God. He was talking about what's going to happen to you if you just focus on temporary things. So the main concept here is to take the book as a whole, follow the journey, towards the very end, to where he comes back around to the fact that, there's nothing new under the sun. We have to put our focus on eternal things. So that's, I think, your practical application is you don't have to live a life under the sun, down here on the hot earth, the way everybody else lives it. You can live above the sun, above the clouds, in a heavenly-minded way that is fully blessed by God. All right, I'm Laura Harris-Smith, and we keep going with the study. I hope you're enjoying it. If you do, give me a like on Facebook or a comment on YouTube, and I will see you on tomorrow's Daily Pin Code.